It's another glorious start to the day. It's the end of midsummer, day 4, and you may notice something a little different. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome back to Fendt Farm here on GreenRiver. Yes, we've got bus stops. We haven't had the update for the map yet, unfortunately. I was chatting away with Bart, as you know. He gave me the details of the update, and then a little bit later he also gave me a screenshot of the silo itself. If you haven't seen that, then I will link that again in the description for you, so you can take a look at that at the end of the video and see what the silo is going to look like once that update goes live. Giants obviously are out of the office now until Tuesday because it's Easter weekend, so the earliest this update will go live will be Tuesday, which means we probably won't see this now until, or the update on the map, until Thursday at the earliest next week. But what I did do was, after we finished recording on yesterday, I went around and I did a couple of contract jobs, and then I started placing some bus stops dotted around to help aid travel for the commuters. These are actually pretty cool. I do like these. So you can see that they do pretty much cover the ground and remove the grass. There's a couple of weeds here that are growing through. I think these are actually part of the ground rather than part of the... And what we do also get is we get this loose banana skin that just kind of plops around. You can't put it in the bin, unfortunately. I did try many times to drop the banana peel in there, but unfortunately we couldn't. So these will actually generate a nice little bit of income. Not a huge amount. The income is... I can't off the top of my head, I can't remember. Let's have a look. Let's scroll through. There we go. The income... it's actually showing no income at the moment. I think that's a typo. But there is... I think it's around about sort of 10 euros a day or something like that. Let me check on the mod hub. Quickly load that up for you. Nope, that's not the mod hub. There we go. So according to the mod hub, the bus stops will generate, depending on the game difficulty, between 25 and 45 euros. So that would be 25 for hard, 35 for easy, for normal, and 45 for easy. We're playing on normal, so each bus stop should give us 35 euros a day, which isn't too bad. And I think we have 9 or maybe 10 dotted around the map. I'll take you on a quick tour so we can try and figure out where we've dumped them all. I tried to put them in places that made sense for the narrative of the map and the farm. So we've got one here outside of our farm. For anyone who wants to come and collect eggs, you know, from our sort of chickens. We have another one over there, as you see, on that side of the road, and it's by the path there. Villagers can, or people in the town can get off at that bus stop and then walk along the path to get to the community area, which is over there. And then, obviously, because we have this built-up sort of town area, it made sense to put one at each end of this. So we've got one here by the bridge, and then there's another one a little bit further down just over here as well at the other end of the village. And then there's also one sort of down there as well, as you can see. There is also another one sort of over by the garden centre as well. So if we head this way, we're going to just whiz through at top speed here. Ignore the speed limits. Well, I say ignore the speed limits. There aren't any speed limits on this map, but not yet anyway. We may be getting some actual proper speed limits soon. We are getting new road signs with the update. And there you can see there's a bus stop there opposite the garden centre as well. So certain locations do have bus stops kind of strategically placed, and then the last one that I know of that I can remember, it might not even be as many as I thought, the last one that I remember placing very specifically is just around the corner. and you can see it's just over there, look, opposite the pigs, because that is the entrance there to the picnic area. So again, it's a placing the bus stop in an area that makes sense rather than just plonking it down just to generate revenue. I've tried to put them down in areas that make proper sense. I think there's another one at the entrance to the farm as well. Yeah, you can see there, look, there's another one there by the farm entrance. Just there, again, for any workers that don't have a car and can't park it in the car park, oops, they can obviously get the bus if they need to come and take a job at the farm. So added some bus stops to generate a little bit of revenue and just add a little bit more to our narrative. So what do we need to do today? Well, I think some of our crops may possibly be ready. I don't know if they will be or not. But we are definitely going to have to do some work with our cows. I'm hoping that the silage is going to be ready at some point today. Let's go and quickly scan. Well, I say scan. Let's go and check out the fill level in here, the fermentation level. We want to go to help window. We're at 70%. So at some point today, this is going to ferment. I was hoping it would be a little bit further along than that, but at least it will change today. How are our cows looking in terms of health? 73%. So they've dipped down again a little bit more. You can see that the silage and hay food trough, which is just hay at the moment, is running a bit low. But I'm going to keep letting it run down, because just throwing more hay in at the moment isn't going to improve the health at all. We may as well empty the trough out, and then hopefully it won't be very long between the trough going empty and being able to actually put in a TMR mix. And then we just need straw. But once we get the TMR in there, the power food, that'll fill the silage and hay bar at the same time. Those cows will start to massively improve their health again, and will also start producing a lot more milk for us. So that's all good. It looks as though we're out of breeding season for the sheep as well. They, I think, are still producing wool. Looks like they might still possibly be producing a little bit of wool, but they're no longer breeding. So what can we get done today? Let's have a look. I was hoping we could maybe get some harvesting done today, but I think it might be a little bit too early. Yeah, everything's still, as you can see, in that final growth stage. I don't think these crops have grown enough for another round of fertilizer, although they might possibly have done. I guess the only way to know for sure is to take a quick drive over there and have a look. So we'll do that. And beyond that, I'm not really sure what else there is to do today, if I'm honest. We can't really do anything with the cows until we get, some more. Until we get the TMR ready, so that we can make some. Let's get the silage ready so we can make some TMR. We can't give them straw because we don't have any wheat or barley that's ready to harvest yet. They're still, as you can see, in their final growth stage. There's our tritinola, our triticale canola, our tritinola is growing away there. You can see it's a field of yellow, so that's in its final growth stage. All growth stages, it's got to go sort of orangey colour before it's finally ready. Where am I headed? Oh yes, I was going to go and check out the I don't need to come down here, I need to actually get back through there. See if I can do it on this corner. Yeah, check out the cornfield, see if it's grown a bit. I don't think I can get through here. Have to quickly sort of sneak past. There we go. A little bit naughty. Actually, I don't know. That might be ready. It's really hard to tell, but I think that's a little too dark. That ground texture. So I think, yeah, it's too early for another application. Okay, so in that case, I don't know what we can actually do today. We can't do anything with our corn. It's way too early for that. We can't fertilise it again because it needs one more stage. It's too early for that. We've got no grass left to cut over here, although we have got this area. and we have got some trees that we could perhaps clear out to help ease access into there as well, so we could probably do that. And beyond that, none of our crops are grown yet, nothing's ready to harvest. I say I'm looking at the animals. We don't need to do anything with the sheep. We can't do anything with the cows, not yet. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all we can do is go and work over by the forest today. So I need to think what equipment we're going to need. We're going to need something to cut the logs down, and we're going to need a way to sort of transport those as well. The sawmill is right round the corner, so that's quite handy. I'm just debating whether or not to wood chip the logs or just sell them. I think I'll probably just sell them for ease of convenience. So if we make our way over, if you remember when we did that little look at the aftermath of my mowing session, you remember we had that kind of secondary route that we could have taken around here. So we've got this big kind of clearing just here, and we can get in here and we can strip out a couple of trees around here perhaps to give us a nice easy access route. But we've also got, you know, this big open area around here where we could do some stuff. You can see there's a little bit of juddering there as we get close to these very tightly packed rows of trees. We've got this line of trees here that we could potentially just strip out all the way down here, and all this grass is extra grass that we could then work with. And then again we've got a bit of a space down there where we could take some trees out, and there's more grass, and there's a little line at the back there where we could take a couple of trees out again. Really open there. I think that's pretty much going to be our jobs for today, because we have no other jobs. We've run out of stuff to do other than just doing more contracting. So we may as well, you know, do a little bit of logging to make a little bit of money, clear these trees out so that we can actually get in and mow this area and attack this for extra grass, and then we can throw this into the silage pit and really, you know, beef up our potential silage haul at the end of the sort of like chaffing season. So I'm trying to think what we want to buy. You know what? We're doing some Liebherr stuff on here. I think now is probably the time for me to actually try out the 902s. I haven't actually used these. I bar a quick 2-minute fiddle when it first came out, and found it quite tricky, and I never found the right opportunity or the right reason to try these out. I do have to be wary of my slot limit. As you can see, I only have 192 slots left already. We've got a lot of stuff on this farm already, and I need to keep 22 aside for that. So I've got 170 slots to play about with, effectively. I'm just trying to think which one we go for. Do we go with tracks or do we go with wheels? That is going to be very, very slow, 5 miles an hour, but it's probably going to be a little bit more stable. I don't know, I quite like the idea of going with the wheels. We want a forestry design. We want the front support, I think. Yeah, we'll take the front support. So we'll buy one of those. Don't need the leveler, but we do want to be able to cut down the logs, so I'm thinking this is probably going to be the thing to go with, and then we can grab the stump grinder attachment, the stump cutter, afterwards. So let's take that one. There we go. Let's drive on over to the store. Let's go check that out. Oops, I turned the engine off. I thought I was turning it back on. My bad. And as I say, we now need a way to then sort of transport those logs. We're also going to need a few other headers as well for the 902, so that we can actually pick up the logs and grind out the stumps. So I'm just going to park this here for a moment. Let's jump into our 902. You can see we've got the bars on the cage here because we're using the forestry version. Oh, we should be able to open the door on this, I think. I'm going to have to pop the help window for this because there's so many different controls. So that's the arm. That's the neck. The secondary arm. And the body. Change control group. Oh, that's the supports. Oh, I see. So there we go. That's the supports going down. Oh wow, that's kind of cool. It completely lifts it off the ground. Oh, that's awesome. What else have we got? If we go R3 again. Oh, and then we're back to the arm again. Okay, so what about right? Where is the door? Ah, there we go. There's the door. Alright, I think... Well, this is going to take a little getting used to, but I think we can have quite a bit of fun with this today. And then... I'm not sure where to leave this at the sawmill. Or... I'll take it over to the BGA. I think I'll take this, leave this at the sawmill. See, it's bouncing around a lot, isn't it? It's kangarooing. It's almost like a teenager learning to drive for the first time, just not being able to, not being able to feather the clutch. Ooh, it feels a bit weird in cab. It's got this kind of weird, stretchy kind of feel. The view feels a bit weird, like it's it's distorting a little bit. That is a touch weird. I don't know if I could actually drive like that. Oops. I think we'll have to stick to third person. Ooh, I looked away literally for 1 second, and the second I look away, thunk, crash into something. I like these kind of double wheels though on each corner. That's kind of cool. That's very cool. Alright, so let's start attacking over here. So I want to really change the angle. There we go. Kind of figuring this thing out. There we go. So in theory, I should be able to use this. Ooh, I can twist it and turn it that way. Should be able to use this a bit like a scorpion in a way. Let's turn on the tool. Can't actually see what's going on. Are we cutting this thing? Oh, there we go. So I can then kind of carry this into the open clearing like that. I can see why there's support arms on this now. And oops. Yeah, I think it's going to be easier if we don't bother with the claw and instead we just cut. I think that's going to be easier. So I just need to, there we go, try and pull this in a little bit closer. Like I said, it's first time I've used this thing really, so I'm just trying to get used to the controls on it. So if I basically drive this way. I think maybe the skid steer might have been better for this, but we'll persevere. I like to use different equipment on different maps, and we've used the skid steer for our logging before. It's kind of nice to try something a little bit different. Oops. There we go. So if I can just basically drop these all in a nice straight line like this, we can then clean them all up, load them onto some kind of trailer. There we go. I'll take one more out, and then I'll leave those edged ones there, like that. There we go. And then we'll do the same on this side. We'll start chopping down trees all the way along here. Get them all nice and clean and ready for transport. And then we'll start messing around with loading some logs, I think. So I'll carry on doing this, and I'll catch up with you in a little while. So as you can see, I've cut down a very big line of trees. Get a lot of lag around that particular one there. That was the double planted tree that was causing us some real lag issues there. I get the feeling there's a few of those dotted around this forest that we might have to try and weed out. I haven't gone all the way along. As you can see, where the line kind of stops. You've got that second row of trees there. But this is a really nice long line. We're going to go along with a chainsaw and clean everything and delimb everything. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to drop this just here, like that, and I'm going to make my way back to the store, and I'm going to buy the stump grinder. We're going to grind out the stumps, and then once I've done that, I'll head back to the store again, pick up the log grab, and then we'll find some sort of trailer. And I can see what looks to be a hitch on the back, so I wonder if I can actually pull a log trailer with this as well. Oops. I wonder if I can pull a log trailer with this thing as well. Might need a dolly. Might be able to pull just a trailer on its own, I don't know. But yeah, we'll have to give that a try, I think. Wouldn't you know, the game is once again giving me great demands for crops that I have but don't have ready yet. There is a 6-hour great demand for sugar beets that are not ready to harvest. Lovely. And I'm having some real issues trying to grind out this last little bit of stump. Every time I try and get it, I end up actually tagging part of the tree, because they've already ground away part of the trunk on the tree there. But this little piece here, this little bit of stump, just refuses to go. Oh, there we go. Finally got rid of it. But I've actually taken out quite a bit at the bottom of that tree, and I think I'm doing the same on the other one there as well. So I think the stump grinding will probably be better waiting until we've cleared the trees away. Otherwise, just going to end up grinding out all the tree trunks themselves. So instead, let's go grab the log fork and a trailer, and let's try and do some loading. Okay, so the loader works, as you can see. We can pull our timber runner. Still getting that lag when we get too close to the trees. But we can attach a timber runner on a dolly. The height is a little bit awkward, so you can see that the front wheels, on the dolly, they're just lifting up ever so slightly. But it does kind of work. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And I've had another idea. So this is going to require me to kind of teleport a little bit, but I've had an idea about a way to transport everything quite easily and effectively. So if I jump out of here and move across to here, I'm going to get my flatbed truck, because I'm hoping I can pull a trailer with the flatbed. The whole plan kind of hinges on that, really. Yeah, I think that looks like a tow hook at the back. So what I'm going to try and do is have a whole sort of delivery system for our 902 whenever we need to move it around from place to place. So, moment of truth time. Can I connect? It's not going to let me, is it? Oh, no, it is. It lifts it a little bit, so that's a little awkward, but it kind of works. Might have to perhaps trade in the Chieftain for a different low loader trailer. But what I can do is I can now transport the 902 on the low loader, and all the different implements can be stored in the flatbed, so that I can move the claw and the stump grinder and the cutter, all at the same time, and even a bucket or whatever could be stored and travelled as well. So I can take every single implement with me and not need multiple trips or multiple vehicles. This convoy will be able to take the entire kit from one location to another. In theory, this will sit... Oh, look at that, it fits perfectly. And then with the tools, I need to close the claw. There we go. But with the tools, what I can do is simply detach them and have them inside the trailer. Oh, there's a lot of weight, isn't there? It's an awful lot of weight. Okay, maybe this isn't going to work after all. I've got to try and connect back up to this thing now. Ugh, this is going to be awkward. Probably should have thought this through a little bit better. Try to find the control I need. Oh, that's the door. There we go. That's the control I was looking for. Now I can do that and lift that back out again. But it's the weight of this, because it didn't sit flush, look, it's the weight of the actual 902 itself that's pushing the front end of this down, which is then lifting, pushing the back of this down and lifting the front up. So yeah, we need a different low loader that's going to sit flush with this. So the idea kind of worked, but not quite. There's too much of a height difference in the hook there, so I'm going to go and play about with different low loaders until I find one that actually sits reasonably flush, and then we have our transport system. This looks to be the only method that's going to work, unfortunately. Of all the different low loader trailers out there that I have, this was the best option because of the dolly. Because everything else just sits, that hook is just, or that tow hitch is just too high for the Chieftain. It's too high for the Bandit. It's too high for an ITR trailer. But it does work with this because I can kind of get away with it using the dolly. So this is how we're going to have to do it. But again, the same principle applies. The trailer itself is perhaps a little longer than we needed, but again, we can load the actual flatbed up with all the relevant implements that we need. So we can put a bucket in there, we can put the stump grinder in there, we can put the log grab in there, we can put the saw in there. Are there any others? You see this bucket shovel, we can do that there. You know, there's all, you know, even a pallet fork if we need to, or a wrapped bale handler. There's all these different tools that are attachable that we can add, that we can fit into the low loader. And one other thing as well, because of the way I set this farm up, you know, if you remember, I said I set this up in season. So I normally, when I set a map up, I'll set it up the way I want it, then I'll activate seasons. I wanted to try something a little different this time, and so I started seasons and then set. First year was just setting this up. This truck is now past its maintenance due by date, and it's been playing up. It's been cutting out on me. It's been struggling or failing to start when I try and restart the engine. It is very much in need of service. If I open up the help window, you can see maintenance required. It doesn't give a countdown anymore, you know, X amount of days or X amount of hours. It needs fixing. it's kind of a bit knackered. So if I just detach that, I'm just going to drive around a bit, see if I can get it to cut out on me. And it'll just conk out while I'm driving. Okay, this is just getting bizarre now. I've been been just driving absolutely flawlessly since I said it was starting to conk out. No issues whatsoever. I'm now the opposite side of the map. Yeah, I've got to run all the way down the side again to get back to the forest. Hasn't conked out once. I don't know what's going on here. It was giving me all sorts of grief as I was pulling that low loader from the shop over to the forest, and then ever since I started hitting record again, it's been absolutely fine, which is kind of frustrating. Trying to show the impact of not doing your maintenance, and you know, the dodgy bit is gone. Let me see what happens if I pull over and stop. Let's jump out of it. You can hear there it took a couple of attempts to actually start, and it's slow pulling away as well. Oh, I wonder if I can get this thing to conk out on me on the run back to the forest. No, it doesn't want to. Oh, there we go. It's just conked out on me. And that's how long it took me to accelerate. You know, my finger was on the accelerator the whole time there when I hit restart. And that's how long it took for me to actually be able to pull away from a standing start. So it's definitely in that point where it's now becoming quite unreliable, and it's conking out a lot, and it's causing me issues when it does conk out, and it won't stay running when it should do. Anyway, we've kind of faffed about long enough. I think it's time for me to get a chainsaw, start stripping these trees down, and then loading them onto our timber runner. So I will see you in just a moment. There we go. All of the trees stripped down. It's now gone 12:30. It's taken me a little while to do that. Run all the way down and delimb all of those trees. One thing I have noticed though, you could never run with chainsaws, but for some reason with this Johnson Red chainsaw, I can. Look, I can sprint while holding the chainsaw. That's awesome. If I'd known that, I would have used this chainsaw every time, but I haven't used this one in a while. I normally end up going with the Stihl or the Husqvarna, but I thought I'd use the Johnson Red for a change this time, and I can actually sprint with this chainsaw, which is, you know, unusual. You know, you can't do that with the other ones. So, little top tip there: if you want to, you know, speed up your movements with a chainsaw, get the Johnson Red. Right. So now we need to kind of start stacking these onto our trailer. So that means breaking out the the 902, and of course it's stuck on the back of the trailer. I'm going to have to connect back up, aren't I? That's assuming this thing doesn't conk out on me on the way. Oops, no. There we go. Engine off. As you can see, I decided to, if I can find the right control group. What am I trying to do? There we go. I used the support feet there to clamp down either side of the trailer to try and give me a little bit of extra support. It kind of worked. So this is my log grab. Now I haven't used this, so I have no idea how tricky this is going to be. Trying to adapt to this, and this sort of frame rate lag that we're getting around these tree stumps is really not helping matters at all. So I need to change control type again. There we go. Still getting used to these controls, but we're getting there. I'm way off. Oh dear. I am way off the centre of balance on that. Let's try that again. That's better. A bit. It's still a bit off, but it's better than it was. Well, this is the great thing about having the kind of swivel cab, as well as having the ability to kind of do this with the arm as well. Means I can really try and get quite precise. And I'm just looking how another great demand for a product that's growing and is almost grown. Ah, come on, game, stop mocking me. I'm just seeing how long these trees are in comparison, because these are all this length. These are huge, great big things in comparison to the length of my trailer. Look at the size of them. But yeah, being able to swivel on all these different angles, and also drive up and down as well, like this, and drive back and forth. It really does, once you get used to everything, really does add a huge amount of control to actually stacking these logs. Just looking at the size of this thing's absolutely huge. That's going to be worth some money, that is, surely. Which is just as well, because I've spent a fortune today on new trailers and the 902. I'm spending an absolute fortune on everything at the moment. More than I can really afford to. But look at that, you see, I can just drive straight back, and that's awesome. So again, let's figure out my cut position, which is going to be about there. Like that. Now I just need to... Oops. This is me still trying to get used to them. There we go. That's the right option. So it's going to be slow progress, but that's while I'm still getting used to this thing. But once I'm used to it, I could actually make this quite fast and efficient. I think I can probably just pick that piece up by hand, actually. It looks light enough. Nope, it's not. Okay, maybe not. Well, let's leave that piece there for now. Let's grab another tree and do the same again. So, open the claw up. Just try and find about halfway-ish. Which looks to be... about there, I think. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's much better. So yeah, it's taking a little, as I say, getting used to remembering the controls, because they are different to other machines that I've used in the past. But once I'm used to this, I think I can actually get with this. It's just, taking that time. To really kind of nail the memory controls. Remembering which direction does which movement. Like that, there we go. So once again, we'll do a quick cut here, if I can. There we go. And then, assuming I can position the body right, I can now effectively just drive straight back into the trailer like that. Just lift that up a little bit. Perfect. Drop it in. Give it a cut. Alright, there we go. So, yeah, I'm going to carry on doing this. I'm going to load up, take some logs to the sell point. We'll just tip them and sell them. And I'll keep doing this until I can either run out of logs or run out of time. And I think running out of time is going to be the main thing. So I'll catch up with you in quite a while. Okay, so bringing in the first load of logs. This is unfortunately the first load. It's taken me quite some time to actually get the trailer loaded. It's tricky because it's a new piece of equipment, which is why it's taking me a while to actually get used to it. I'm hoping that the unload process will be a little bit quicker. But, however, before we do that, I need to kind of make my way back to the farm. Don't forget that we've been running our TMR supplies down deliberately to try and... or running our hay supply down deliberately to try and empty the trough out, ready for TMR. Now, our cows are actually starting to really suffer now because we've run out of hay. But the TMR is the silage is almost fully grown. So I'm hoping my truck is over here still. I'm trying to remember where I left my truck. Where did I leave my truck? I'll have to cycle through and see if I can find it. Oh, I left it at the store, didn't I? Okay. Let's quickly whiz back to the farm. That silage, I think, is almost ready to be used, which is, I say, essential for us because we desperately need to be able to actually load up a whole batch of TMR into the food trough. If we can't get it done very soon, then we risk actually losing some cows because their health is incredibly low now. Let me see, what is the fill level or the percentage? 96%. Our cows, as you can see, are down to 63% health. We still have 45 of them. They still have grass and they still have water, but they are dipping. Oh, down to 63. Did they just dip a bit more? Possibly, I'm not sure. But yeah, they're low. They are very low. So, seeing as all we really need now is just the silage, I'm going to go and throw a few hay bales into the back of a food mixer so that I can literally just drive up, add the silage, turn it into TMR, and then unload it straight into the food trough. So let's park this up just here. Let's grab the 800 favourite. I think it's an 820, isn't it? I can never remember the model number. 822. So that'll hold 32,000 litres, which is 8 bales. Now I need a 25% mix of silage against the 75 mix of hay. So that means I need 6 bales, which is nice and easy to do. It's 2 full stacks on the front loader there. So there's the first 3. What I'm also going to do is I'm actually going to drop just a tiny little bit of hay into the food trough just to stop, try and stop the massive decline of health. Trying to get the camera right. There we go. That's what I wanted. So I can take from the top. There's no room to turn in here at all. Oops. There we go. Excellent. So all I need to do is just drop just a tiny little bit in here, just to stop these guys from dying out. There we go. Just a couple of 100 litres. That'll hopefully just arrest the massive decline in health. So they've got 690 litres of hay to keep them going. Now all I need to do is just wait for the bunker to finish fermenting to 97%, so that shouldn't take too much longer. Once that's done, I can then just drive in. I can pick up the silage through our attachment at the front. That'll turn everything in the back of the hopper into TMR, and then I can dump all of that into the food trough, and we can certainly keep our cows nice and happy and healthy. Just need a little bit more silage to get that mix up to 25%. Actually, we only need 20% of silage, but we can't have more than 75% of hay. So there we go. We now have a TMR mix. And I think we're full. Yeah, that's it, we're full. So you can see 72.86% of hay, 27.14% of silage, and we have a full TMR mix. Let's see how little is left with the cows. 197, so we managed to kind of arrest the slide a little bit. There's a tiny little bit of hay left. I don't mind about that. Oh, we're filling from the wrong side. Tip side right, there we go. Just get rid of the help menu. And there we go. So, what's our cow health looking like? Or food troughs looking like? It's almost completely full. Not quite, but almost. Certainly enough. So those cows will get, you know, a little bit of a reprieve now. They'll start to improve in health, as long as we make sure they don't run out of grass and water and so on and so forth. We have filled them up. We've only got enough silage here. We used, let's see, I'm trying to think how much we used. I should have paid attention, shouldn't I, really? We had 32,000 litres and, let's see, 24,000 litres or 23,000 litres or so of that was hay. So we used about 9,000 litres of silage. Now this was 112,000 litres in total. So we've got enough here to keep us going throughout the rest of summer and certainly into, you know, possibly most of the rest of autumn. But we'll need this to get us through the rest of the year and into next year as well. So I don't think we actually need to worry about doing any more silage in this pit. We'll probably add a little bit more just so that we have the silage here ready for next year. But I reckon that's probably going to be enough, at least with the current numbers of cows. Obviously if we get more then it won't be enough, but it's certainly enough to keep us going for the rest of this year in this trough here, and well into next year as well. So we'll probably add a little bit more chaff into this before we start fermenting it. But I think the rest of everything else is just going to go to the BGA from now on, and we'll just do one more cut from our field, on this farm here, or maybe it'll be the cut from down there that comes into this bunker, and then everything else goes to the BGA. We'll see how things shake out. Anyway, that's it from me. We have finished recording for another day. I still have logs to kind of work with and a little bit of tidying up to do. I'll get that done, and then tomorrow will be late summer, and I hope the first day of harvesting. So be sure to come back for that. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and I'll be back with the next episode of GreenRiver and Fendt Farm Seasons very soon.